Welcome back to our final week of our Day Tripper Cal. This week we take all your hard work and join it together, joining our blocks and edging to make our final finished blanket. I've loved being with you through this whole process every step of the way and love seeing all your progress this far. Now we've learned how to make our 5 motifs and we've worked them in their 2 different colourways and you've made 8 of each square. We're going to have a total of 40 squares. Don't worry if you're still working on your squares. You can make your blanket in your own time, enjoying at your own pace. But I'm now going to take you through how we join them in one big pattern block and then how we make 4 of those blocks, join them together to make our final blanket. In this video, I'm going to show you how to lay out your design block and then start joining your pieces. The blocks are joined in double crochet. You can use whip stitch, but double crochet is my favourite way to join because it's simple, easy, I find it really quick and it gives a really nice graphic edge to your blocks. Once you've joined your 4 design blocks to make the large base of your blanket, where they're going to edge it all in one single row of double crochet. This gives it a nice crisp edge and is ready for us to add our treble border. Our treble stripe border gives our piece that wow factor with that pop art graphic stripe edge, finishing off your motifs in real bold graphic style. Before we get onto our border, I'm going to take you through our first step, which is joining your motifs together with our double crochet. Here we've got one of our big blanket blocks laid out. The blanket's made of 4 of these blocks and it's best to work one block at a time when you're joining. Lay out your pieces so you get your colours in the right order and your pattern, and then we can start joining our pieces together. When we're joining, we want to work our 4 smaller squares together first and then attach them to our larger blocks. When you've laid your squares out, hopefully your smaller squares should all equal roughly the same size, and what we can do is just ease them out. I don't tend to block my squares, I just pull them and tweak them into place to ease out the size, and our 4 squares here should match up and equal the same size as your larger square. We're going to join these 4 together and then attach them, and I'm going to show you how to join them together with a double crochet now. So I'm going to take my 2 squares and we're going to be joining in double crochet. So I've got my yarn on my hook and we want to join on the wrong side. So you're going to fold your squares down, so we've got right sides facing, and we're going to be working on the wrong side of our work. And so we first want to join in at the corner. So we've got our yarn on our hook, we pinch our 2 together and we come in that corner chain space, working through both squares, and we grab the yarn from the back, pull through to the front, so we've got 2 loops on our hook, wrap around and pull through both. Give that a tug, and now our squares are sort of held together in the corner and we can start to work our way along the edge. Now, because all our squares equal the same amount of stitch numbers, we should be able to work just in each stitch along the edge and it should add up on both sides. So we're going to work through the top of the first stitch. So make sure you go through both loops and we're going to line that up and go through the top of the first stitch on the other square. So you can see here that we've gone through both, and we're going to join by grabbing the yarn from the back, pulling through, wrapping around and joining with a double crochet. And we're going to carry that along the edge, so we're going to go through the top of the stitch and through the top of the stitch on the other side, grab, pull through, wrap and pull through 2. And we're going to work our way along the edge. Now, I find it best not to try and rush your joining, and make sure that you're slipping both of your stitches on and the full stitch that you get under both loops of both stitches. So you're going to have a nice, clean and sharp join. I'm going to work my way all along the edge, working through both stitches on each side. Oh, and you can see here I've only gone through 1 bit of loop, so make sure that you come out and go through both bits of the loop. We're going to work all the way down until we reach our corner. When you get down to the corner, we're going to finish off our join by going through that chain space on both sides, working our last double crochet, and then fastening off, doing our extra stitch, taking our scissors, pulling through to fasten off. And you can see when we're doing our double crochet join, if you open out your squares, you get this nice crisp bar effect on the front, and on the back of your work you get this sort of thin ridge. You're going to want to work your pairs together and then use exactly the same technique to join along the long edge. And then what you do is you join your larger square to your bigger square that we've got ready. So here we've got half of one of our big blocks joined together, and you can see that really nice white graphic edging that joins together, and we get that little bar around our work. I'm now going to show you how to work your border, and I'm going to show you on this piece because it's easier to see. And our border is using up the rest of our yarn to go around the edge and finish up our blanket. So taking our white, which we've done our join in, we're going to do our first round around our edge, and we're going to work a double crochet so this finishes the edge of our squares to match our joining lines. And I'm going to show you round this edge to start off. So we want to join in our corner. We're going to take our yarn, and we're going to join in, our yarn is on our hook, into our corner space, grab it, pull through, wrap and pull through. So we're joining in a double crochet join. We're going to chain one, and then we're going to double crochet back into that corner to create our corner join. We're going to work along our edge like when we were joining our pieces together, now working into the top of every stitch. So you're working into the top of a stitch, working one double crochet into each space all the way along. As we work our way up to the corner of our star spot square, in the chain space in the corner, we're going to want to work 2 double crochets to fill the space. And then we're going to work back across, working 1 double crochet into the top of each of your stitches all the way along till we reach the corner. You can also work, if your stitch is quite tight, where we have our 1 stitch space here, 1 chain space here that's in between the first pink cluster along from your corner and here, you can work over if your chain is really tight to work into. And then you're working into the top of each stitch. When you've worked all your way along your edge and you get to a corner chain space of your blanket, to turn the corner with our double crochet, we want to work 1 stitch in, chain, and turn by doing a double crochet through the same space. You can then work your way all the way down your other edge, completing it with your double crochet and following that pattern all the way around your blanket till you get to the corner where you first joined, and join your round together with a slip stitch and fasten off to finish off in that colour. I'm now going to show you how we work our treble stitch border. So the border is worked in your remaining colours and is worked in sunflower, turquoise, bright orange and pink. And I'm going to start off with my sunflower and I'm going to join in any corner. So I'm going to show you in the corner which I've shown my example double crochet, but you can join in any corner. I like to change corners every time I join a new colour to spread out my ends. So we're going to join in the corner with a slip stitch. So go into that chain space, and because we've only done a double crochet, it's quite small, but you go in between your 2 stitches in the corner, grab your yarn and pull through and pull tight to join in a slip stitch. Because our border is worked in treble, we're going to want to chain up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get our height. So this is our fake treble and then our 2 chains for the corner. And we're now going to work 2 trebles into that same space. So you want to wrap around, come into that stitch, work 1 treble, wrap around into the stitch, work your 2nd treble to make the first half of your corner. We're now going to work down and around our border, working into our double crochet stitch, which has lined all of our blanket. And we're going to work 1 treble into each stitch all the way around our blanket. And in the corners, to be able to turn, we're going to be working 2 trebles, 2 chains, 2 trebles. Make sure you're only working 1 stitch into each of the double crochets as you're working along. And you can start to see when we're working our trebles into the double crochet that it starts to look more like our pattern and our joining. And so this is why we've gone around the edge in the white to match it in with our join and make that edging consistent. When you get to your corner, you want to work into that chain space. So remember, because you've done a double crochet, chain double crochet in the row below, that the chain space is quite small, but in that space you want to work 2 trebles, 2 chains, 2 trebles to turn your corner. You're then going to be working 1 treble into all the stitches along the edges and repeating that pattern, working your way around your whole blanket by working 1 stitch into each of your double crochets, and then in your corners remembering to turn, working 2 trebles, 2 chains, 2 trebles. And you want to repeat that all the way around to get your first treble round of your blanket border. To complete your first round of your trebles, you want to work your last treble into that same stitch to finish off your first corner, and then we're going to slip stitch join in the 3rd chain. So we go 1, 2, 3, slip stitch join in that 3rd chain to finish off that round. We're now going to work keeping in the same colour, so we're going to chain up 5 stitches again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in that corner chain space we're going to work 2 trebles, and from our 2nd round of our trebles on our border, we're now going to be working in between the stitches along the edge. So in our first round into the double crochet, we were working into the top of the stitch, but now we're working, doing our trebles in between the treble stitches. So you want to work one treble in between each of the trebles on your round below. And you're going to work that pattern all the way along your straight edge until you reach your corner chain space. When you get up to your corner chain space, we're going to turn around the corner by working 2 trebles, 2 chains, 2 trebles, and then along the edge going back to working 1 treble between each of your trebles in the row below. For your border, you want to carry on this pattern, and you can extend your blanket as much as you want using up your leftover yarn. For my blanket, I've worked 3 rounds of trebles in the sunflower, 3 rounds of trebles in turquoise. I've then done 3 rounds of trebles in orange, and then for my final band, I've worked 2 rounds of trebles in our pink and finished it off to crisp the edge using 1 round of double crochet. Ta-da! And now you've got your finished blanket. Some people at this point might want to block their project, but I want to take mine right out for a spin straight away. I'm going to take it to the beach. I want to know in the Facebook group, where are you going to take yours? If you've enjoyed getting your Crojo on with me and Serdar, then you can check out some more inspiration on serdar.com or come over and see me at Casey Jo's Knit. I hope you have loads of great summer picnics, really enjoying your day tripper blankets. Happy hooking!